Mission Impossible. Final Reckoning is a bit of an enigma. On the one hand, it's a bombastic, action-packed thrill ride with great send-offs, stunning action set pieces, and some crazy stunts. Unfortunately, all of this walks hand in hand with a poor plot, lots of contrivances, and a bloated, expository-heavy script that sags under the weight of expectations. It's a mixed bag in every sense of the word, which is a damn shame. Final Reckoning is basically Dead Reckoning Part 2, but the movie is in a strange position because it not only attempts to bring new viewers up to scratch, especially those who haven't seen Dead Reckoning, but it also tries to pay off longtime fans of the franchise too. This never quite balances the movie on a stable foundation, which always feels in danger of toppling over at any second. It doesn't help that Dead Reckoning's plot was one of the weakest seen in the entire franchise. For those who need the brief recap, which won't be necessary because Final Reckoning's 2-hour, 45-minute runtime has a ton of flashbacks anyway, the story centered on a faceless AI entity called, well, the Entity. This AI is determined to take over the world by using its lackey, Gabriel, to do its bidding and bring about nuclear disaster. The end of Dead Reckoning Part 1 saw the hunt for a MacGuffin by the name of the Cruciform Key. Ethan Hunt ended up in possession of said key after a thrilling set piece across a moving train, with the goal now being to take out the Entity's source code once and for all. The trouble is, this is located in a sunken Russian submarine called the Sevastopol, right in the middle of the ocean. While this forms the core journey Ethan and co embark on, although there are little fetch quest journeys sprinkled in along the way, including a hunt for a poison pill which happens to be the key to destroying the Entity once and for all. The trouble is, Gabriel has this, and he wants to use it in order to control the Entity. Somehow. Along the way, Ethan and his team find themselves chasing after Gabriel, who becomes much more of a figurehead and baddie in this film than he did previously. However, Final Reckoning constantly usurps its own momentum by stopping and explaining parts of the movie. For a film series so hooked on its stunts and set pieces, it's quite surprising that the first hour of this film serves as a constant stop and recap section, with plenty of flashbacks to previous movies, big exposition dumps, mission statements, and even flashes to earlier segments in the same movie. It's quite remarkable, and something that many are sure to overlook as the film moves into its second half, which ramps up the pacing in a big way. Mission Impossible has always been a series that lives and dies by its crazy set pieces, but Final Reckoning expects viewers to really extend their disbelief for some of the scenes we get here. There's an extended underwater scene with Ethan where he makes some pretty eyebrow-raising decisions for the sake of tension, and that's before mentioning him jumping out of a plane in the middle of the ocean and immediately finding himself exactly where he needs to go thanks to some divers nearby. These sort of contrivances pop up a lot in Final Reckoning, and it's hard to ignore at times. For a film that sets itself up as the final hurrah, it's also quite surprising that there aren't more risks taken with the core group. I'm being careful not to divulge spoilers here, but given the dramatic stakes, I expected there to be a lot more fallout than what we get. It's particularly problematic, though, because despite this film's long runtime, it feels like a lot of the characters don't have an awful lot to do until the script calls for it. It's disappointing for those characters we've followed across the past set of movies, but the ending scenes are actually really solid, so it at least ends in a satisfying manner. Having said all of this, if you can overlook the thin script and wonky contrivances, there's a lot to like here. The stunts in particular are fantastic, and there's one scene involving a biplane laid on that's absolutely breathtaking. We're really not going to get scenes like this ever again given Hollywood's strict safety protocols, and it's clear the team have gone all out to make this one the most bombastic stunts yet. Final Reckoning is not all doom, gloom, and nail-biting tension, though, as it also has a surprising amount of levity. There are little jokes and moments of humor sprinkled in to try and break up the expository-heavy movie. It works relatively well, all things considered, and there's one scene late on with the biplane and Gabriel that had the theater laughing out loud, so ultimately Final Reckoning is a mixed bag. It's not an outright bad movie, but it does slip into bad writing habits and embraces a contrived plot that struggles to break free from the shackles of Dead Reckoning's convoluted and troubled story. Conversely, though, this one has plenty of Mission Impossible hallmarks, including the trademark running, gunning, and crazy stunts that make this a great theatrical experience. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but if you've been following Ethan's journey over the past 30 years, you'll undoubtedly be satisfied enough with this effort, flaws and all.